All right, so we are underway. So again, hey, welcome everybody for joining us today. So this awesome gentleman that's right next to me is Sean Matson, and he is CEO of Mattbach and owner of Strike Force Energy, which has gotten a lot of attention recently. And I'm super excited to have him share his story. And Sean, I mean, absolutely any direction you want to go with us today is super cool. But I think a probably appropriate way to kind of kick it off is, how did you and I meet?
Man, I guess the first meeting was at SA2, I believe, working, in the team. So Michael, obviously, background SEAL, myself, and we got connected here on the East Coast. And then, after that, I was getting ready to transition. Michael was transitioning out of the military, and we started, working together, doing investment banking work, some other pieces, and, just continued to just have a good friendship relationship there, recommendations back and forth to each other, and then, throw each other ideas back and forth, I think, as well. So, heck, I might even be selling him a van here soon. So I'm going to get everything he's worth.
That's awesome. So, so that's where we met. And I think what's kind of neat about us in particular is you and I had, I would say, relatively atypical transitions out of the community, because you and I both had established businesses up and running. We didn't, like a lot of guys, when they get out, they either go straight into contracting or they go to school or stuff like that. And you and I kind of already had our, at least our pathway kind of, under control. We didn't deal with the typical stresses. I mean, we obviously both dropped our at least our military income instantly, but we were prepared for that. So for you in particular, because honestly, I don't even know the answer to this, when did entrepreneurship really get into your mind? When did you start thinking about Mattbach? I know you had a great partner, you still do, and you guys are doing some amazing stuff in there. But when did that all kind of get birthed in your mind and get rolling with it?
So that started 2006, flying from San Diego up to Alaska to do cold weather training. And Zach and I were sitting on the back of a C-130. It's an 8-hour flight direct up there. And we redesigned the cargo net system that holds the pallets, the entire flight up there. And that was the initial kickoff for us, and really just trying to understand. It took us from 2006 till 2010 when we actually started Mattbach, and then 2013 when we actually really started getting products on the market. So, I mean, it took us that good 7 years really to even figure out this process, because we had no idea. And honestly, we were also full-time Navy. And so that was really our focus, not doing the entrepreneurship stuff. And, but we were working it on the background, getting around other people and understanding what it would take to actually start a company. And it was funny because a lot of guys would come to us and be like, hey, I've got this idea, I heard you guys got a company. And we're like, well, we really don't know what we're doing yet. So yeah, we kind of do, but I don't know what we're doing. So, we didn't want to bring them into the mix until we knew we had something that could actually have an established pipeline to help them. And a proven model really was the driving force to that. So that really didn't happen until about 2013. And then, that whole 7 years was a lot of research and trial and error. And, establishing what we have now as our process to bring innovative technologies to the market. And so it started really early on, like I said, 2006 was that, but then, it's continued to snowball. I guess plus 10 years really doesn't seem like a fast snowball, but that's what it's taken to see these opportunities come to fruition, and then getting it out there and selling it. So
yeah, and what I love about that is, and the way you phrase it is perfect, right? Like, you didn't know what you were doing, but yet you guys are blazing this path, right? You And I think this is very congruent with a lot of military veterans that are about to get out or getting out. Like the one side of 15 years of this global war on terrorism is that so many people have such great ideas about whether it's something innovative like how you pursued or just a new product that needs to be acquired and brought into it. I think the thing that holds most people back is fear. And obviously, so you're an officer, you're responsible for, your career, the people that are under you, and then you're still like pursuing this super passion of yours to create this company. And you're also a father, you're also a husband, right? So like, I do want to dig into a little bit of the whole work-life balance piece eventually too, but what kind of recommendations do you have for someone who is getting out and has these ideas that they've learned along the way, and they really want to get into, whether it's pitching it to the right people, any transition programs that they can reach out to, organizations, groups, that kind of thing?
Start early. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is start early and start quick, because it takes so much longer than you're anticipating it's going to. And before too long, your paycheck's gone, right? You're transitioning, you're getting out, and what you thought was going to happen in a year takes 3 or 4 or 5. And, you said it earlier and you hit the nail on the head. What I was making in the teams, it was not what I was making right when I came out. So I took that pay cut. And the other thing is just making sure not to have some of these I don't want to call them huge changes. They're saying no audio on the Instagram. Let's see. Let me know if you have audio now. Give me a thumbs up. But not having huge changes in your life before you're getting ready to do that transition, going to go buy crazy cars or buy a house, right? Try to limit that as much as possible before you transition, because those are all factors that are going to just one way more stress into you, but also possibly cause you from not being able to transition or whatever. It's just a problem to deal with.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because even like, typical military transition, retirement, that kind of thing, they tell you to kind of like get your debt down, right? Mm-hmm. Have a little bit in the bank, but for those people who have an idea and a business they want to launch, that's kind of, the situation is somewhat exacerbated, right? Because anytime we're moving towards business, we got to have some type of, monetary piece. Like, I don't know if you went through a seed round when you started, if you did a friends and family round. I don't know the background there. But there's a lot of options, obviously, with coming up with capital if you have a bona fide good idea or product and, get in front of the right people.
Yeah, we didn't. And I'm very much a believer in. I restarted Instagram. So if
okay.
You guys are just joining back in, let me know if you guys got sound now. The last one, I guess, was cutting out some sound. So give me a thumbs up if we got sound. Sweet, audio's back up. All right, so technology. What you go as soon as you, it's great until it doesn't work, and then it sucks. For us, we didn't raise capital, and I'm very much a proponent that the first step should not be to raise capital. You should go out, get some experience, start with whatever you have spare, right? Use change in your pocket, use some life savings, whatever it is, and slowly grow with that, rather than going to go raise a whole bunch of capital. And what happens is we've got $1 million, and then they go spend $1 million, and they waste it because it wasn't their money. And, they figure, well, I've got this $1 million, I got to go spend it, I got to go turn it. And then they make rash decisions, and they're not what's the right word? It's really not,
stewards.
What's that? Yeah. Stewards with it. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. They're not stewards to it because it's not their money. And, for me, every dollar that was going out the door was like, that's savings. That's this, and it hurt to give that money away. but it also made us, especially really early on, get creative on how to solve problems. And so Zach and I got really creative of like, well, okay, I can't go pay this engineer to make these drawings and we're going to spend $1,000 an hour on this, architect or this guy to, 3D renderings and all this stuff. So what if we just offer them a percentage of sales for some period of time? So a little royalty deal, right? And surprisingly, we found people that help us, and we've paid them more than probably what we would ever paid them, if we would have paid them per hour, because they were getting some royalty but they were willing to take a chance with us, and so that's been super helpful. But they trusted us, and we trusted them in that regard, so that it just gets you to be and think outside the box rather than, I got $1 million, I got to spend $1 million, and then it's gone, and then you're not getting that $1 million back. So being creative with it and really being stewards, you hit the nail on the head again on that. That's
yeah, and I like what you were just saying, because it ties into kind of one of my favorite forces in this world, and I'll call it sowing and reaping, or you can call it pay it forward. And I think that a lot of people, this isn't particular just to veterans. I think it's also a lot of civilian people that have these ideas and they want to run with them. People are very leery to actually reach out in need and ask, right? So and it's so powerful today because everybody has a natural sphere of influence around them, and they have people that like them and love them, right? And so if you're able, because I remember in the beginning, so many people were, and I don't know if this applied to your background, but especially on military startups, they're trying to pigeonhole all the information. They're trying to keep it. And I know at times there's an absolute need to do that with certain projects, right? But one of the things I, learned from actually Bob, who you mentioned earlier, the work that we did after the military and all the capital raising and stuff like that was, you kind of got to get your information out. Right, you got all these natural forces that, if you're asking for help and they're genuine contacts of yours, they can kind of open their Rolodex, or they can make introductions for you, or stuff like that. And I do think that's something that holds a lot of people back, because I think that naturally they just think, why is somebody going to, if I can't offer them a percentage of my company, or if I can't offer them something amazing, why would they spend time on me? And the reality is, I think the heart and soul of the entrepreneur is about helping other entrepreneurs. Now, does that mean every single entrepreneur you ask, if you and I were in a room with Elon Musk right now and we want to take your company to the next level, is he going to have time? We don't know. We can't control that, right? But I think what you and I would both do is we would make the ask. And I think it's a very simple process, right?
Yep, exactly. And you never know. I mean, there's always those things, you miss 1,000% of the shots that you never take, and blah, 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 all those things. But it's so true. And yeah, again, just getting out of your comfort zone and making that ask and saying, hey, it's a proposition of, hey, they can help me, but I also think I could help them with this, and this. And, it might be, you're getting this and they only get this, but, at the end of the day, that might be enough to move the needle for them. Right. And sometimes it could be something as simple as, they're looking for veteran outreach program, or they're looking for, a small business, right? Sometimes that's the pivot point for them that they need is they're this huge conglomeration and they don't do a lot of business with a small business. And so they can figure out how to make that work. And maybe that's just what they needed is, hey, we can run some deals through this small business now because we're no longer a small business. So, just have to get out of that zone and make that ask. So.
Yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to make that. Those of you tuning in on Instagram and watching the video, to make the ask. Just go for it. I mean, we all have been in the dating scene and asked people to go out on dates with us, and it didn't work out, but it wasn't the end of the world. So that's cool. So, okay, so you've got MacBot growing. You're out. You're got more time. You got more time going on your hands, you got new concepts, new products that are coming out. So how does Strike Force end up happening? I mean, I think most people would be like, oh my gosh, you're scaling this business. It's doing really well. It's getting huge. Well, all of a sudden, Sean's got an energy drink. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so the CEO of Strikeforce, Bruce, he also owns a robotics company, and we were working on a robot for Matt Bach actually, and then he had this idea of, he was sitting down eating a hot dog, pouring ketchup on a hot dog, and was just like, wait, if we could take the chemistry that's in an energy drink and put it into this, we could ship this all over the world. We could get this downrange to soldiers, and on and on and on, and but just kind of sat on the idea because he didn't really have a good avenue to push it. Knew that it could be a good opportunity and kind of that, and then in walks me carrying, I think, a Monster at the time. We were sitting down working on this robotics project, and I had an energy drink, and I also had a bottle of water, and I'm active still at this time. So I'm at the end of my active duty time, and he pours the chemistry, right, which is now Strikeforce, into this bottle of water. It stays clear, and I'm just like, and he's like, drink it. And I'm like, man, sweet. I'm going to go back. I'm going to have a random drug test, and I'm going to pop for something or, whatever. I was like, sweet, right at the end of my career. And immediately I was like, what was in this? Like, this tastes amazing. Like, this has a great opportunity for the military. And he was like, that's what I think. And, fast forward, less than 6 months later, we started Strikeforce, and we've been off to the races since then. So, it was just, same thing. He saw an opportunity and thought we could do something with it. And, we've become really good friends and obviously partners in the business, and built and brought other people into the company as well, and, growing it.
Yeah.
Continue to do it. So
that's awesome. So I want to elaborate a tiny bit on that. So obviously, I remember when kind of 7-Eleven got excited about Strikeforce, and started kind of here in Hampton Roads, I think, and correct anything that I'm saying wrong, right? But then all of a sudden, your footprint started expanding pretty quickly. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, where everything is now, if you can. But what was funny enough, I texted Sean last week. I was actually in Vegas for a bachelor party, and I went into a company that was there that does a zombie apocalypse. And so I was in there looking at it because it's something that we're kind of interested in bringing into Virginia Beach also. And I looked down on this table, and there's a Strikeforce box and stickers. So talk to us. I mean, it's pretty exciting where Strikeforce is right now and where you guys are headed. So what kind of footprint is it?
Man, it is really exciting. And, the most exciting part about the whole thing is we are just scratching the surface at all of this. And, to all the people that are on Strikeforce Instagram right now, I mean, you guys have been phenomenal. They continue to, hey, can we get it here? Can we do this? And we are, and we're running really quickly. The 7-Eleven piece, 7-Eleven, is and was our first, was our first, really large convenience store chain. Obviously, they're the largest in the world, right? I mean, they own the convenience store space. There's over 70,000 7-Elevens in the world. United States makes up 11,000 of them. The top 3 convenience stores make up over 15% of the convenience stores in the United States, just the top 3. 7-Eleven being the biggest, Circle K being second, and Speedway being third. And it is incredible the drop off between those 3. It goes 11,000, somewhere around 8,000, and then 2,500.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's how big of a difference. So between 1 and 3, I mean, there's almost 10,000 difference between 1 and 3. And 7-Eleven's not slowing down. They're only putting gasoline on the fire. They are partnering with different companies and things like that from our, from what we've seen from the little bit of, behind the curtain that we get, right? they're innovating and continuing to grow, making things easier. They've got, here in Hampton Roads, they've got the ability where you can order straight from the app and it gets delivered to you in less than like 15 minutes, right? Like,
wow.
So it's awesome. And that's through their 7-Eleven Now app where, literally on a couple Fridays ago, it launched here in Hampton Roads. I was like, I got to try this. It's Friday. I want a pizza and a beer. Why not? So ordered it, and it said, hey, it's going to take 15 minutes. And literally 15 minutes after I placed it, a 6-pack of Budweiser and a 7-Eleven pizza showed up to our office. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, that's awesome that, you can literally go get whatever you want like that. Even down to limes. You can get limes from the app, but they have been great partners with us. We continue to grow with them. And something that's really exciting for us is we're in the process to work with them on a new initiative that's going to be launching late April out in LA. So if you're in the LA area, check us out. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming there soon. And we're one of 30 brands that got selected to be part of this new initiative. I'm still waiting to hear back on exactly what we can talk about on that, but it's going to be really exciting, news for that. But stay tuned for that.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Perfect chance to segue on the next topic. So mindset, right? One of the things, and I want you to be fully and I know you're going to be transparent anyway, but the whole point is, one of the things that I've found since I've gotten out is a murmuring of close friends and civilians, people that don't have our background going, you're able to do that because you were a Navy SEAL, right? Like, and to me, that's like nails on the chalkboard, right? Because like, I remember who I was before I was a Navy SEAL, right? And I remember like as a child is really where my mindset changed to where I believe that, I have complete control of accomplishing anything that I want. So talk about mindset, like what, and obviously there's probably a lot of veterans.
There's a couple of good comments. They're like, Sean, he's a Navy SEAL? No, question mark.
So, and I got John Allen chiming in on my side. So it's good to have him there, but seriously, right? Like, so, obviously it's a special community and we go through a lot of stuff. I talked about it with my interview on Dave Rutherford the other day, like how, even if you didn't have this crazy epiphany before you got in, like the training kind of gets you used to the mindset of no matter what, we're accomplishing it, we're going to endure, we're going to push through. But a lot of that, and I think you probably had it too, you had a natural kind of tendency to just be a go-getter, have grit, that kind of stuff. What's your feelings on mindset, for people, specifically people who are entrepreneurial, or at least in their mind, they want to be entrepreneurial and to move forward?
I think that, the SEALs didn't define me, right? Like it's a phase, and everybody that's a SEAL, that phase of their life is different, right? It could be 4 years, it could be 10 years like mine was, and then some reserve time. It could be 20 years or 30 years, right? But it's not their entire life, right? It is a phase and it's a part of their life. And, for me, I learned a lot being a SEAL, right? And use a lot of those experience now, right? But to your point, right, I grew up struggling with learning disabilities. I was dyslexic. I had special help like early on, even in like second and third grade when they identified this. Man, I cannot read to save my life. I didn't even break 1,000 on my SAT scores. I should have never got into the college that I got into. But the only reason I did was because of my work ethic, and I continually persevered and I beat down doors. I was not afraid to, try and touch back on the college aspect of it. I got a 940 on my SATs. That was the best score I ever got. I took the SATs over 5 times. I think I took the SATs 5 times. I took the prep course 3 or 4 times. And I could never get above 1,000. and I had a pretty decent GPA in high school, but I wasn't in any AP classes or anything like that. And I got deferred early acceptance into VMI. I got denied regular acceptance and put onto a wait list. When I found that out, I called and emailed the director of admissions at VMI every day saying, you need to let me in. I had multiple alumni at VMI saying, you got to let this kid in. He's going to do well. He's going to do well. Just let him in, and he's going to prove, the system wrong, because you're looking at a kid that SAT scores and GPA, and there are thousands of applications across the country that would destroy me on paper, but I'm going to outwork every single one of them 10 times over. So let this kid in. And eventually, through all those, I found out 3 days before high school graduation. I got an email from the director of admission. I never got an acceptance letter, never got my little cool, certificate that I was going there. I got an email saying, hey, show up this date and be ready to go. And I literally jumped down the steps at my house that I was in, and my grandma was downstairs at the time. She freaked out, was like, what happened? She just heard this huge thud and me screaming at the top of my lungs. And I mean, we were so excited, obviously. And, then, found out, told my mom, told other people about it, because everybody knew that was where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. And, I just, at the end of the day, I'm going to outwork you, period.
I love it.
And it's not because I was a SEAL, right? And it was because everything I've ever done in my life has been, having to have that, right? Like, I wasn't the smartest kid. I wasn't the strongest kid. I wasn't, good at sports, right? I mean, I swam D1, I swam Division I, NCAA Division I at VMI, which is not a great school, in terms of, athletics and things like that. But, I should have never gotten that far. And the only reason I did was because my work ethic in the pool and in the gym. And I always knew, and the person I was competing against wasn't, one of my buddies or stuff like that. It was me. I knew that I could always better myself. And how do I better myself was the times. Okay, I saw my time that time. I'm going to beat myself. I'm going to beat myself. And I would, constantly in a battle with myself and no one else. I could, I see things and I look at things, and we all do it. We all compare ourselves to others. But to me, that's like this much of it, everything else is this, and I'm in competition with myself and no one else.
Yeah. And that's key. I love, that was the perfect way to wrap that up. It's all about competing with ourselves. Right. And anybody can do it. Right. If we try to get better, day after day, whatever, gain a percent a day, like, you can be off. And the whole point of my asking Sean that question was just, really for encouragement purposes, just go for it. If you have something, just go for it. But it's also the perfect, go ahead. You have something you want to?
I was just saying, and I mean, you saw it, right? I mean, there was guys in my buds class that destroyed me in workouts and running. I mean, we had a guy that ran, repeat 6-minute miles in soft sand and boots. First time we got wet, he quit. And it's just like, what is going on? Right. And then you have other guys that, were worse than you that would make it through. Right. They would always get beat. They would always get goon squatted. I mean, and you're just like, how is this kid making it? And he just would. And there's no rhyme or reason other than they were all in competition with themselves, and they knew, hey, I'm making this. I don't care, right? There's always an end to whatever it is, whatever evolution you're in. There's going to be an end, and that end could be 2 hours, it could be 6 months, but there's going to be an end at some point, and you have to keep driving forward. You have to keep moving, and just get there and move on to the next piece.
Right. So, last topic for you. Work-life balance, right? So obviously I don't think anybody's confused on either of us and how like we can scare people when we make our minds up to do things, and we're gonna crush it. I mean, I don't remember who I was talking to the other day. I remember like I was talking about a goal, and I was like, hey, my kids get nervous when I decide to do something because they know it's going to happen no matter what, right? And it's kind of cool. But there's obviously a balance that's important. And I know you at a personal level, and I know your family is incredibly important to you. So how do you balance that? Obviously, you got two companies that are growing, probably getting pulled in a lot of directions from a lot of different organizations and entities. Some of it makes sense, but I'm sure at some point in time you also say no to certain things. So what's your philosophy on this balance as a serial entrepreneur, and then what are some of the tidbits you've learned along the way to make it, a healthier thing for the family?
Something I heard a long time ago is anytime you try to put something in balance, it's inevitably going to be unbalanced, right? So it's impossible to balance work and being an entrepreneur and family. It's impossible. If you do everything at 50%, then you're only half-assing being a dad, and you're only half-assing being an entrepreneur. So where I prioritize and where I make sure my efforts are, when I have time with my kids, they're not in school right now, right? So I am laser focused on, I have no other distractions right now, and it's work, right? And then when they come home, I set time for them. And, sometimes that time might be fragmented because they want to go play with other kids or they want to go do stuff. So I might only get to be with them for 5 or 10 minutes, but you know what? For that 5 or 10 minutes, I'm laser focused on them. And then, they're off and doing something else, and, I'm back to doing some work. And then, so I try in that regard to, when it's their time, it's their time. And when it's, work time, it's work time. And I try not to let them coincide, but, inevitably it does sometimes. And I'm like, hey, hold on, I'll be there in a second. Or, hey, give me 10 more minutes, or do this, or then we will do whatever it is. And then, then it's their time for that. So that's where I really, but what I've noticed in that and showing that work ethic, my daughter's 9, getting ready to turn 10. I mean, she's already like doing incredible things. Just last year, it was funny. Just the other day, it popped up on my Facebook memories. Like, oh hey, this. Right. Last year around this time, my daughter came in and she was like, "Hey Dad, can I steal some of the rocks that we have beside our driveway?" She was like, "I want to paint them." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Sounds cool." She came back, a couple hours later, and she was like, "Dad, I made $38." And I was like, "Doing what?" She was like, I sold those painted rocks. And I'm like, well, to who? Like, she was like, I went door to door to door around the neighborhood. I took people's orders. I made them rocks, and then I delivered to them, and they gave me money. And I was just like, that is the coolest thing ever. Like, I mean, like, I still get chills thinking about that. And like, just how that she sees that and that impact. We're driving down the road, and her and my son will be, "Hey, are we in that 7-Eleven? Are we in that 7-Eleven? How's that one doing?" Like, I mean, it's contagious, and they enjoy it. Now, will they ever go do any of that? I don't know, but what's being instilled in them is that work ethic part of it. And they know that, it's not going to be easy for them. They see my struggles, probably more than anybody else does. They see the difficulty of that. They see, those pieces of it. But I also, obviously I understand the kids too, so they don't see all of the struggles, that keep us up at night sometimes. But, they get that influence and that culture now, right? And then that's going to continue to grow with them. And I mean, geez, my daughter and son are already 10 times smarter than I ever was in school. I mean, they're in advanced classes, I mean, like so much different than mine. And I just can't wait to see where they go, you know what I mean? Just like any other parent, you know, and seeing that, where they go. I mean, my son in sports is like, I don't care what it is. I hand him something and he picks it up like that. And he's the best on the team. And it's like, where did that come from? Like, I never played baseball. And the first time I ever like soft pitched him a ball and he was like 2.5, 3 years old, he crushed it. And I was like, where'd that come from? You know, like, where did that come from? And now, you know, he's the best kid on the team and he's crushing the ball. And it's just like, just so cool to see, you know, that ability in him. I mean, he could literally, and I continually tell him, you put your mind to whatever you want and you're going to do it. And I don't care if that's athletics, if you want to be an artist, if you want to be, you know, a writer, I do not care. But you put your mind to it and you're going to do it and you're going to be the best at it. And you know, that's the piece of it that I think that so many people fail with on the mindset piece of it is like you said earlier, you know, they think, well, you were a SEAL, you could do anything. Well, no. Again, that didn't define me. I knew I could do anything before I was a SEAL. I knew I could do the SEALs because of my background, and I set it as a goal. I'm going to go do that, period, right? Nothing was going to get in my way. I didn't care if I went enlisted. I didn't care if I went officer. I was going to get there, and I was going to make it through. And it doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. You're not going to tell me I can't do something. And if you do, I can't wait to laugh at your face when I do it, because you just helped me fuel it, because I love that part, right? Tell me I can't do something, please. You know?
That's perfect. So, well, I want you to be able to close it out however you want to close it out. Is there any other topic that you want to discuss?
Man, I don't. I think, you know, this was good. I really appreciate, you know, the time, and, you know, I can't wait to see the full thing back and forth. So, you know, you guys coming in on Instagram, you're going to see a little bit, you know, obviously just one-sided. You got to hear Michael, but we'll put this up on IGTV as well and some other channels. So, but, you know, I appreciate it.
No, that's awesome. So just let everybody know where they can find you online, social media, whatever the case may be.
So, you know, for me, my personal Instagram is just Sean.Matson. I'm obviously on LinkedIn, Facebook, and other places. Obviously on StrikeForceEnergy.com is where, if you want to get some of that, we're there, and we'll get you fueled.
Good stuff, man. Well, we appreciate you. Appreciate what you're doing in the local market, as well as helping other entrepreneurs. I know you're tied in well, and you're looking at other stuff. And all I can say is Strike Force absolutely works. Where I'm training for a bicycle ride across the nation next year for veteran suicide, and we're using Strike Force. So it's exciting to have that product, and we just thank you for your time, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. We love what we see. So appreciate it,
Michael.
man.
Thanks, man.
Have a great day.
You too.
All right, bye.
See you guys on Instagram.